Have you ever wondered why Donald Trump's bold hands-on deal-making seemed almost magical in the Middle East, but completely ineffective with China? What changed? Why did the same man who helped broker unprecedented peace agreements in one of the world's toughest regions hit a wall with Beijing? Today, we're diving deep into the shocking truth behind that mystery, the reasons that go far beyond politics, into culture, strategy, and the way nations play the global game. So buckle up, because what you're about to hear might just change how you see world power forever. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you love sharp analysis, global insights, and real talk about how power really works, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. It helps the channel reach more curious minds like you. Now let's break down what made Trump's personal style of deal-making a success. Story in the Middle East and why it fell flat when facing China's centuries-old strategy machine. Let's start from the outside, what we'll call the exterior of Trump's diplomacy. When Donald Trump entered the White House, he approached foreign relations the same way he had done business for decades, face-to-face, tough talk, and immediate results. He believed in the art of the deal, not long-drawn diplomatic traditions. In the Middle East, that exterior approach worked beautifully. Leaders there, especially in countries like Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Israel, appreciated Trump's showmanship. They saw a man who spoke in bold strokes, who respected strength, and who wasn't afraid to ignore political correctness. His America First slogan didn't threaten them. It inspired them to think in terms of mutual benefit and bold action. The Abraham Accords were the perfect example. Trump and his team managed to bring together nations that had been adversaries for decades, normalizing relations between Israel and several Arab countries. The success came from directness. Trump didn't hide behind committees or vague statements. He presented clear benefits: economic cooperation, defense alignment, and mutual security against Iran's growing influence. In short, he treated the negotiation table like a business deal, where both sides had to see tangible wins immediately. Now that same exterior charisma and simplicity became a liability with China. Beijing operates differently. The Chinese Communist Party views negotiations not as a single transaction, but as part of a centuries-long strategy. Where Trump saw a deal, China saw a chessboard. They were patient, disciplined, and deliberate, calculating every move for long-term advantage, not short-term optics. To them, Trump's urgency was a weakness, something they could use to extract concessions. Instead of responding to his boldness with admiration, they responded with suspicion. So, while the exterior of Trump's diplomacy, his confidence, his directness, his showmanship, captured hearts and headlines in the Middle East, it bounced off the Great Wall of China's deeply strategic mindset. If we go a layer deeper, we reach the interior, the mindset, the cultural wiring that powered both Trump's style and his counterparts' responses. This is where it gets fascinating. Inside the Middle East's power culture, personal relationships mean everything. Leaders often see diplomacy as a form of trust-based connection. A handshake, a promise, or a show of respect can carry more weight than a 200-page document. Trump's personality thrived in that environment. His instinct to flatter leaders, to give symbolic gifts, to praise their strength, all of it aligned perfectly with the Arab world's appreciation for honor and recognition. In China, though, the interior logic is completely different. Relationships matter, yes, but hierarchy, control, and subtlety dominate the culture. Chinese negotiators value restraint over charisma, silence over boasting, and collective benefit over personal glory. Trump's loud, transactional style clashed with their internal rhythm. What he viewed as decisive leadership came off as unpredictable and unstrategic. They saw his tweets not as power moves, but as instability. To them, the interior of his diplomacy lacked the patience and discipline that define great statecraft. Performance-wise, Trump's Middle East strategy produced undeniable short-term wins. The Abraham Accords not only reshaped regional alliances, but also opened new economic pathways. Israel gained new trading partners, Gulf nations boosted their security ties with Washington, and the United States reasserted itself as a power broker in a region long considered ungovernable. Trump's peace-through-strength approach seemed to deliver results without endless wars or costly interventions. Even his tough stance on Iran was applauded by Arab states, tired of Tehran's aggressive influence. But when we measure performance in China, the story shifts dramatically. The trade war that Trump launched in 2018 was one of his most ambitious global moves, imposing massive tariffs on Chinese goods to pressure Beijing into fairer trade practices. At first, it seemed bold and effective. U.S. companies began looking for alternative supply chains, and headlines screamed about Trump standing up to China. Yet beneath the surface, China adapted. It shifted trade routes, strengthened domestic industries, and deepened partnerships with countries in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. The short-term disruption didn't translate into long-term victory. American farmers, tech companies, and consumers bore the cost of the tariffs, while China weathered the storm and continued to grow. So while the performance looked strong at first glance, the underlying impact favored Beijing's endurance over Washington's aggression. Trump's team measured success in months. China measured it in decades. Now, if we think in terms of safety features, the metaphor becomes even more interesting. Trump's Middle East diplomacy included built-in safeguards. The U.S. military presence, intelligence cooperation, and arms deals provided a safety net. Even if political tensions flared, the strategic partnerships remained anchored in shared defense interests. The structure was reinforced by America's dominant position in the region. No one doubted Washington's power, and that gave Trump leverage. In contrast with China, there were no safety features. Trump entered a relationship with a peer competitor, an economic giant, a technological leader, and a global influencer. There was no shared military alliance or dependency structure to stabilize the relationship. Every move carried risk. Sanctions could backfire. Tariffs could trigger inflation. Rhetoric could spook markets. And unlike Middle Eastern allies, China wasn't looking for U.S. protection. It was looking to surpass U.S. power. That made every negotiation a zero-sum game, where compromise looked like weakness and patience looked like dominance. Let's talk about the unique selling points, what made Trump's strategy stand out in both arenas. In the Middle East, his boldness was refreshing. Previous administrations tiptoed around sensitive issues, like recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital. Trump did it directly, sending a powerful message that he would not play by old rules. That clarity, combined with his willingness to make visible gestures, created momentum. Leaders knew exactly where he stood, and that predictability built trust even among skeptics. His administration's willingness to use economic leverage, arms deals, trade promises, or sanctions, gave him practical tools to seal the deal. But China wasn't impressed by those same tactics. Beijing's strength lies in subtlety and endurance, not emotional gestures. When Trump imposed tariffs, China countered with calm precision, targeting political vulnerabilities in U.S. farming regions to apply pressure during election cycles. When Trump demanded faster concessions, China slowed down, forcing Washington to wait. Their unique selling point, discipline and patience, outperformed Trump's charisma and urgency. They treated the negotiation like a marathon, not a boxing match, and that brings us to the price. Every great deal has a cost, and Trump's contrasting experiences reveal what those costs were. In the Middle East, the price was relatively low. His policies strengthened U.S. alliances, created lucrative defense contracts, and reshaped regional diplomacy without major backlash at home. However, some critics argued that these deals ignored deeper human rights concerns and overemphasized transactional benefits. Still, from a geopolitical standpoint, the return on investment looked impressive. With China, the price was steep. The trade war strained American industries, increased consumer prices, and caused global uncertainty. The Phase 1 deal signed in early 2020 promised structural changes in China's economy and increased U.S. exports, but most of those promises never fully materialized. COVID-19 soon overshadowed everything, exposing how interconnected and fragile the U.S.-China relationship truly was. The cost wasn't just economic, it was strategic. Trust between the two powers eroded, making future cooperation even harder. Now let's wrap this up with a powerful conclusion. Trump's deal-making magic thrived in environments that valued speed, clarity, and boldness. In the Middle East, that formula worked because the players shared his appetite for strong leadership and immediate results. It was a match of personalities as much as politics. But in China, That same formula collided with a civilization built on patience, hierarchy, and long-term vision. What Trump saw as strength, China saw as short-sightedness. The lesson here isn't just about Trump. It's about the nature of global power itself. In a world divided between quick results and long strategies, personal charisma can only go so far. The Middle East responded to Trump's personality. China responded to his lack of strategy. And that's the shocking reason his deal-making magic worked wonders in one region, but failed to move the needle in another. As we look at the world today, that contrast still shapes global politics. America's challenge isn't just making great deals, it's understanding the game other powers are playing. The Middle East wanted a partner. China wanted a rival. And in diplomacy, knowing which one you're facing can mean the difference between triumph and failure. If you found this analysis eye-opening, don't forget to hit that like button. Share this video with someone who loves understanding the real stories behind global headlines, and subscribe for more deep dives into world affairs. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, where we uncover more hidden truths behind the moves that shape our world.